Little slow today, but it is getting there. Yes. So now we are in the verse 61. We saw last time how one is forcibly taken away despite having what? Despite having a lot of wisdom in the sense of that which is generated by Bhagya. All this one has, and still confronted with something like a sensory object, experience, etc., the mind can get disturbed. And so, verse number 61 concludes this portion of how and why this happens. We already saw. Why does this happen? Because even though one has overcome the desire for a certain thing, one has separated oneself from the object of desire, like even a bottle from the stand. The bottle is, I'm no longer near the bottle. The person can say, I'm no longer near the bottle. And then what? So, if you're no longer near the bottle, have you overcome the addiction? Desire is activated, and which means that the desire for the bottle, from the point of the one who is given to alcohol, so the desire for the bottle is still in the heart, even though one has suppressed the drinking. One has overcome the drinking, but the desire still lurks. And then there is no way, no other way of and then this desire can hijack somebody at any given time, can hijack someone. And so what is, there is no other way other than to become a bhakta. Bhakta means the person who is a devotee. Why? Because this is just like, I think Alcoholics Anonymous people who started must have taken from the Gita. Because one of the steps is there is a higher power over which, I don't have control over this addiction. There is a higher power. I take recourse to a higher power, they say. That this must have been taken from this verse only, verse number 61. Tani sarvani sanyamya yukta asita matparaha vashe hi yasyendriyani tasya prajna pratisthita. Tani sarvani sanyamya yukta asita matparaha वशे हि यस्येन्द्रियाणि तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता. Tasya prajna pratisthita. That person's knowledge, we can say, is established. That person is established in the knowledge. Who is this person? The one who is Tani Sarvani Sanyamya. Sanyamya means the one who has a say over the ways of the mind and the sense organs. That person. Yuktaha. Yuktaha means the one who is together emotionally. Emotionally, the one who is together, the one who is wise emotionally, and the one who is not needing to, as Swamiji would have put it, carried out of the room in buckets, because the person melts at the slightest challenge. The person is unable to be together. The person is not collected. The emotions are all over the place. The desires are all over the place. The reactivity is all over the place. Anger towards somebody and fear towards somebody else. Like this, it's just the person is all over the place, is the opposite of yukta. The word yukta in the Bhagavad Gita has an abiding presence. Starts here in the second chapter and then all the way, and then it's highlighted a lot in the sixth chapter and goes all the way. Yukta, the one who is maybe not having the knowledge fully yet, still a jnani, wannabe, not a jnan. But the thing is, the person has, with the help of all the shamadana, etc., all the sampatti, the sixfold virtues of preparation, etc., etc. The one who has gained and the one who is there, the one who is, a jnani in waiting, a jnani who is wanting to be this jnani, that person. And what is that person? That person is very much in the very much in the know of what? Of the fact that I have these issues, I have these addictions, I have these problems, I have these talents, and I have these challenges. The one who knows oneself, relatively speaking. So that is also important. To have a realistic understanding of your challenges and your things it should be not a problem to know that. Once one has accumulated the wealth of qualifications, which the Bhagavad Gita itself describes in the 13th chapter, and which in traditional Vedanta Shastra is described as Shama, Dama, Uparati, Titiksha, etc., a resolved mind, a non-reactive set of sense organs and organs of actions, etc. So this yuktaha asita, asita means sitting down, sitting, as opposed to jumping around restlessly. That's why the word sitting is given. Sitting, seated. And how is the person seated? Mat paraha. Paraha means the one who is committed to. So, like Tat Paraha, the one who is committed to Brahman is called Tat Paraha. And then, so the one who is committed to me is Mat Paraha. So, me, who is this me? This is very interesting. If you ask this, the interpretation of this verse from so many people, they will all come up with different ideas of who this me is. ISKCON people will say, me means only Krishna, nobody else. It should look like this. And Kirita, and what is that? The feather, Mayura, the feather of the peacock, yellow clothes, and only worship Krishna. Don't even think of Shiva. Forget everything else. Forget everything else. If you think of Shiva, that means you're not studying the Gita properly. You're not a student of the Gita. So, like this, even the Gita says, you have to only worship Krishna. That's not the idea. The me, whenever Bhagavan refers to him himself in the first person, it is that Ishvara without name, without form. The who can be invoked in any name, any form, with the help of any name, any form. So Matparaha means the one who understands that even though I have these qualifications, even though I have had some semblance of a victory, what kind of a victory? A victory in overcoming some of these sense objects, etc. This is no time to be complacent, because I know for every single thing that I have quote unquote conquered, there are many other desires lurking, waiting to jump and catch. So that person is realistic. And then the person also knows alongside that there are certain core issues and core desires for some reason I'm not able to let go of them. Everybody has them. A longing is there, and that longing I'm not able to let go of at all. At all, I'm not able to let go of. And so this longing has to be overcome. And I don't know how to do that. In every person, there is a disappointment that may be being carried from early childhood. Why? Just because one had an elder brother or sister. That is the disappointment. Why? Because that person snatched away all my toys. Or maybe I was older and the younger one snatched away all my toys. That is also possible. And then what? It was my birthday. I had a balloon. And that balloon, the sibling snatched, and in the process, there was this big pop, which scared me. And then the balloon was gone. This is when fourth birthday, okay? Yeah. Age 4. And that person is still grieving the balloon at 94. At 94, if somebody, all the loved ones bring 94 balloons, it is still not enough. They want that balloon. Tell me, how will that balloon come back? That balloon will not come back. All you have to look is in the sky, and there will be a new balloon passing through the United States. All these spy balloons. You can say, okay, that will be how I can fulfill myself. Today there is a new balloon that is going in Hawaii. It is they have found out. So anyhow, that's the only balloon that is left to explore. No other balloon is possible. That balloon, that's why it's called a frozen need, because that balloon, that is the balloon that the child wants to prove a point that this is mine. You had no right to it. And I can't accept the fact that you warped it. It's all your fault. And I am bereft. I didn't have a special time on my birthday. Why were you born? This is the feeling that one is carrying. So this is one example of a core issue, one example of a frozen need. A frozen need is that which will never thaw out, which will never thaw out. What do you have to do? Is put it in the warm glance of Bhagavan. Only Bhagavan can thaw it out and neutralize it. Really. It's a frozen need. It's a need that cannot be fulfilled, and it's a need that need not be fulfilled. That also is there. You can grow out of it. If you have the wits about you, if one is a yukta, one can understand that one can grow out of it. But frequently what happens, one believes in that which is a spoof. This frozen need, which cannot be repaired, there is no other recourse possible. One starts to think that, okay, if this is all right, my whole world will be all right. It will not. You can buy all the balloons in the market. You can have a balloon factory. Still, it will not be enough. That balloon longing is there. And that longing, there is no way to drop. Very difficult to drop. So therefore, I have a two-pronged approach. I do my part. I put the effort to gather the qualifications to gain this knowledge. I grow in Viveka, Vairagya. I grow in Shama, Dama, etc. I grow in having a resolved mind, and I become an expert in letting go, which is very important. Uparati, Titiksha, I have forbearance, I have patience with myself. And then Shraddha, I have reverence towards the Shastra. I have. And then I have all kinds of things I have. And then what? So, and then still the longing is not yet gone. Time to place the longing from where it came. Who created the mind? Ishvara. Who created the longings? Ishvara. Give back to Ishvara what belongs to Ishvara. This is fun. This is a lot of fun. Don't be responsible for your longings. Just don't say, oh, I have this, I have to take care of this. Oh, I have this, I have to fulfill the unfulfillable. Why waste time? Just tell Bhagavan. You put it there, you take care of it. It's no longer my problem. Because now the whole mind is Ishvara. The mind is pervaded by Ishvara. Not just my mind, but everybody's mind is pervaded by Ishvara. This the person understands. The person understands that everybody's mind is pervaded by Ishvara. Not just your mind, my mind, this one's mind, that one's mind, everybody's mind. And if everybody's mind is pervaded by Ishvara, then what happens? Then it's a no-brainer. That means what? It's no longer my longing. No longer my longing. Because the mind is Ishvara's department. And this takes a lot of emotional maturity to understand. So here, I place my longing at your feet. I place my difficulties at your feet. That is the idea. Tani sarvani samyamya. Samyamya means had a grip over one's own desires and longings, and the one who has become a yukta. Mat paraha bhavati, becomes committed to Ishvara, not as some kind of a Lord Krishna or Lord Shiva or something. As the becomes committed to Ishvara as the universal law that governs even my longings, my mind, my sense of not belonging, my anger, my fears. That is the one. That unto that law, which is infallible. That which is infallible, I call Ishvara. And again, we don't say, I have repeated this many times, but it bears a reiteration. We don't say Ishvara is infallible, that's a setup. As long as my desires are being fulfilled, Ishvara, you are great, I can say you are infallible. But as soon as my raga dveshas are not fulfilled, then what happens? Ishvara is so fallible, you made a mistake, I can say. But we flip it around. We make this to a headstand. What do we say? That which is infallible is Ishvara. All that which is infallible is Ishvara. Whatever is infallible, meaning infallible means inevitable. Inevitable means I cannot control it with my grubby paws. That is what inevitable means. Because we are not talking of things we can control. For that, no Ishvara is needed. You can do whatever you need to. But we are thinking about and talking about things that are completely, fully out of our ken, cannot control. And so all those sad, mad, bad moments and all those difficulties, that is, that is what is laid at the feet of the Lord, and that is the person who is called Mat Paraha, committed to me. And Vashehi Yasya Indriyani. The Indriyas are in whose hands? Vasha means under whose purview. The Indriyas are with me, that kind of a person. Tasya prajna pratishtita. So here in this verse is shown the reality that there is only so much you can do by yourself. So this Vedanta is not a DIY, do it yourself enterprise. It is not. Why? Simply because there are many variables over which you have no control. You can only control the known variables. The hidden variables are completely out of control. And our name for the hidden variables is Bhagavan. It's not coincidence. It is not anything. It is Ishvara. Ishvara is the hidden variable. Otherwise, by all reckoning, Duryodhana et al. Should have won this war. Should have won the Kurukshetra battle. Because he did everything right. What did he do? Right means, he who was in the wrong did everything by the book in order to launch this war. What did he do? Like a good Vaidika. He was not a Vaidika in any other sense of the word. Vaidika is Sanskrit word for Vedic. Okay. So, like a good Vedic person, what did he do? He consulted a Jyotisha. He consulted an astrologer. When is a good time to wage this war? So that I will be victorious. When is a good time to wage this war? And the temerity, look at his temerity. The incredulous part of it is that he consulted the best astrologer of the times, and the best astrologer happened to be his enemy, the brother of Arjuna, Sahadeva, a great astrologer, who was also very, very dharmic. And he was known to be so impartial and such a honest person that even the enemy camp could come and ask him, and he would give the right response. He would not say, "Oh no, my own brother needs to win the war." He had no such things. He was very impartial. And so he looked at Duryodhana's sad little chart. I'm sure it was sad with a lot of Rahu and Shani afflictions in all other ways, And so he looked at, and he was also running probably a terrible dasha. Dasha means is a kind of a block of a period and a sub period. Dasha Bhukti must have been terrible to get into this war. And so, despite all that, he made all the calculations. He did a prashna. Prashna means horary astrology. And he did a prashna. And then he found out the exact moment that Duryodhana should wage the war in order to be victorious. Duryodhana covered his ground. He consulted the oracle in the form of Sahadeva and this horary astrology, and then he his army was bigger than the person on the other side. Arjuna's army had only 12 akshauhinis. Akshauhinis means units like cavalry, infantry, etc. And then these other side, the Duryodhana had 18 Akshauhinis. So imagine such a lot of discrepancy. They had time and a half more in terms of manpower. And that army was bigger. And he had, through his some kind of a bad charisma, got hold of all the elders on his side. The teacher was on the side of the wrong, the teacher of archery, the one who was supposed to be very honest. Why? The Dronacharya. Dronacharya was on the other side. Why was Dronacharya on the other side? Drona, our little Drona, had a little weakness, a big weakness. Speaking of weaknesses, Drona's weakness was Ashwatthama. Who was Ashwatthama? An elephant that was also in the battlefield. No, Ashwatthama was the name of his beloved son. It is said that the heart of Drona beat inside Ashwatthama's chest. It did not beat in Drona's own chest. So if even a finger was laid on Ashwatthama, then Drona was gone. Whether he was dead or not, he was just incapable of thinking. He was neutralized. And so Duryodhana befriends Ashwatthama, gives him promotion, gives him all kinds of goodies, and then lures Drona to his side. Bhishma is on his side. Dhritarashtra is on his side. All the elders are on his side. There is no way he should have lost the battle. And then he goes to Krishna and gets that's why he has a bigger army. He gets all of Krishna's Yadava army. Gets the Yadava army is no one can kill a Yadava. Only one Yadava can destroy another Yadava. And so it is in Bihar politics even today. Okay. And so we have all these politicians with the last name Yadava who are at each other's throat. And so this is what it is. It is just amazing, absolutely amazing. And so he had everything. He covered his grounds. He just got all the he brainwashed all the elders to be on his side. And when he had a bigger army, he even bamboozled Krishna of his army. Krishna allowed that to happen. Really. So take it, no problem. Because Krishna knew I am with Arjuna. And Krishna is the hidden variable as Ishvara. The hidden variable is Ishvara, really. Hidden means you can't, no matter how much you control, there is always a little twist in the plot. And that plot is your lot, karmically. And that is what it is. There is a hidden element there. So, despite all this, being able, Duryodhana is control king, despite controlling every single thing in the universe. He lost the battle. Why? Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, last verse of the Bhagavad Gita says, where the Ishvara of yoga, which is magic, yoga here is magic, Shakti, where the Shakti is in the hands of Ishvara. Yatra Partho Dhanurdhara, where a student like Arjuna is there, a teacher like Krishna is there, and there Vijaya is assured. Victory is assured. Victory is assured, and Shrihi, prosperity is assured. Material success is assured. Bhutihi. Shrihi Vijaya Bhutihi. Dhruva Nitihi. This is a Niti means it is a way of the world. Mathur Mama, Sanjaya, the one who narrates the whole Mahabharata war, understands this out of his own experience, and he says there is no way of losing if Ishvara is on your side. The whole Bhagavad Gita is a story of how, because Ishvara was on his side against all odds, Arjuna won the war. Arjuna won the war. Bloody battle, yes. It made the whole dynasty extinct, yes. And all that is different. But he won the war. He won the war primarily because he was able to control he had a say over the hidden variable. Because when Arjuna and Duryodhana presented themselves in Lord Krishna's chambers just before the battle, Arjuna wanted to control the known variables and asked for the army. Where Duryodhana asked for the army, wanted to control all the variables that he could. And Arjuna humbly said, I don't know about the army, I don't want anything, I just want you to be with me. You to be with me. Are you sure? I won't fight. Don't think I'll use all my magic and I will use my chakra and all these things. I'm leaving my chakra at home. Lord Krishna says, doesn't matter. Any day, Arjuna says, I would rather take a non-fighting you to be with me than the army of the whole universe. This is Viveka. This is Bhakti. And Arjuna has demonstrated that even before the war began. And that is what is called Mat Paratvam. Commitment to Ishvara looks like this. Looks like Arjuna saying, I want a non-fighting Krishna to be on my side. And of course, in the Mahabharata war, you see that literally Krishna is on his side, he is driving the chariot, he is right in front of him. But here we have to convert that into the metaphorical understanding. The metaphorical understanding is what? Metaphorical understanding means that there is a kind of a feeling of satisfaction, a feeling of courage, a feeling of contentment, knowing that I have let the outcome in Ishvara's hand. This is Karma Yoga that we have been talking about. So, Karma Yoga means I'm not interested in the outcome. I'm interested in my own growth. And all these difficulties which are coming in the way, I let go and put it in your lap. That is what is called Mat Paraha. You just go with the trust that it will be taken care of. You don't try to control each and every variable. And then, because when you control the variable, what happens? With every controllable variable, there are numerous uncontrolled variables. Uncontrolled, uncontrollable. Wow, both. Both of them are there. So sad. And so, to complete the story, so Arjuna had a little, Duryodhana, the baddie, had a little, whatever, the muhurta. He had a muhurta on a parchment, what is that, palm leaf, which Sahadeva had written. And then he wanted to wage the war exactly at that time. But Krishna wouldn't allow that because that's not the right thing. Why is it not the right thing? It's not the right thing primarily because the reason for Krishna's avatara, as we will see in chapter 4, is to bring back justice, dharma, and to get rid of adharma. How do you get rid of adharma? Get rid of the Duryodhanas in the world. Because adharma is not just free floating. It is connected to these people who have made the wrong choices. So that is so. If Duryodhana wins the war, the whole avatara, the reasons for Krishna being there is gone completely. It's a wasted life, and that cannot be in the large scheme of things. Krishna's purpose has to be fulfilled, and so what this fellow was looking at a sundial, okay, in order to wage the war at the correct muhurta, looking there, looking there, looking there, looking there. And Krishna just told the cloud, just cover the sun. And the cloud said, yes, master, for how long? Oh, just a split second, till that muhurta goes by. So, at exact that time, the war had to be waged. And then suddenly clouds, sundial could not be read. Arjuna is sweating, as Duryodhana is sweating bullets. Arjuna is confused. What's happening? What happened here? Suddenly it was bright. And then suddenly there is like an eclipse-like event happening. This was not foretold by the almanac. What happened over here? And suddenly, by the time they figured it out, it was gone. Sun came back again, and that cloud was gone along with the muhurta. And even though Duryodhana did a little, propitiatory puja just in case he had, missed the muhurta, it did not work. It did not work. Why? Higher power. And what is that higher power? That higher power is you, really. And until you know that, you supplicate to that. And that by any name, by any form. And that supplication is talked about at length in verse number 61, very beautifully. Mat paraha. Mat paraha means it's not like the one who is thinking of Bhagavan at all times. And certain religions don't understand this. Even in the Hindu tradition, people say, sit and think of God. Ayyo, this is a terrible, advice. Sit and think of God means, okay, God, Rama, or anything, Krishna, Rama. First thought, Rama. Second thought, Rama. Third thought, I think I need some Arama. Arama means rest from Rama. And so this is what happens. Rama gone, Arama comes. Rama gone, and then I think of dog. And when I'm thinking of God, suddenly dog comes. Street dog comes in view, and then naturally I think of dog. And then I have to banish the dog and replace God with dog. And it is just a sad setup. Think of God doesn't mean like this. You can't think of God because God is not is not an object enclosed by a thought. Matparaha does not mean think of God. Again, in the 10th chapter, we will encounter, 9th chapter, at the end, we will encounter. Manmana bhava madbhaktaha madhyaji mam namaskuru. Manmana bhava. Be the one whose mind has nothing but me in it. How can that be possible? How can that be possible? Because if God is an object, then you are in touch with so many other objects God becomes yet one more object to contend with. Not possible at all. So therefore what? So therefore we have to understand correctly the meaning of the word matparaha. Matparaha is not the one who is thinking or focusing on God as an object, but is understanding all objects as God. That's the difference. Where he rests, that is Bhagavan. I see Bhagavan in everything that is evitable and inevitable. I see Bhagavan's presence, I see Bhagavan's hand. That is the one who is the Bhakta. That is the one who in the ninth chapter is described as Ananyas Chintayanto Nam Ye Janaha Paryupasate. This Ananya Chintanam, the one who thinks of Bhagavan as non-separate from everything else. That is the one, including oneself. My body is Bhagavan, my mind is Bhagavan, is included in Bhagavan, my senses included in Bhagavan, and the things over which I have no control, that is also Bhagavan. In fact, that is a very important manifestation of Bhagavan. Like this, I understand this. And this understanding is what is called Matparaha. Then when that Matparatvam comes, then Vashehi Yasya Indriyani. Vashehi Yasya Indriyani, the knowledge becomes steadfast because the senses are under one's subjugation. The senses are not all over the place, all the time wanting something or the other. And this is where the bhakta comes into the role. One meets oneself as a devotee, runs to Bhagavan whenever one catches hold of something inevitable in one's life, runs to Bhagavan and leaves it there. And then that doesn't mean if I run to Bhagavan and say, fix this, it will be fixed. It won't be fixed. But then what will be fixed is my looking for a fix all the time for this. That will be fixed. Why? Because it's not in my hands anymore. Literally, I have given it over. Given it over means I schooled myself to stop thinking about it, to stop worrying about it all the time. And that's how the Shraddha grows. Shraddha and Bhakti, that's how it grows. Bhakti is cultivated. Bhakti is deliberately cultivated. And here we see how to cultivate it. Bhashya. Tani sarvani samyamya संयमनम वशीकरणं कृत्वा युक्त समाहितः सन् आसीत मत्परः अहं वासुदेवः सर्वप्रत्यगात्मा परो यस्य सः मत्परः न अन्यः अहं तस्मादिति आसीत इत्यर्थः. So having brought all the sense organs under one's say, one should sit in tranquility. One should sit restfully, and then Matparaha is described by Adi Shankara as Vashikaranam Kritva, Samahitaha from Dha to place, where everything is placed unto Bhagavan, and then one should sit considering me. Who is this me? Vasudevaha. Vasudeva means the one that is present in every heart, the one who lives from vas to live. Div, Dyotanatmakaha Devaha, the effulgent being that indwells every heart. Vasudevaha, the innermost self of all, Pratyagatma. That Ishvara is me alone. So I'm committed to me. You're committed to the highest inner self of not just you, but the inner self of all. Sarva Pratyagatma. This is the difference. Otherwise, if you say, oh, it is my own inner self, so I'm praying to me, I'm having bhakti to me. No. Here is another major area of confusion. No. That which indwells from a pipilika, from an insect, a little ant, to all the way to Brahmaji. That consciousness, that Satchidananda Atma, that Bhagavan which indwells every living form, and every form, including the Jada forms, like Panchabhutas and all the Tattvas, Sanmatras, all these things, the five elements, the one who indwells, that is Vasudeva. So it's not just that it is my Ishvara is me. No. Ishvara is every Atma, everything in this whole universe, that which indwells is Ishvara. With this understanding, the one who has is called Matparaha, na Anyaha. Na Anyaha means I'm not separate from this Ishvara. Na Anyaha Aham. Tasmat means therefore I am not different from this Ishvara. Iti asita. So the one who is sitting with this kind of a contemplation is the one who is there. And so that is the person. Evam asinasya gatehe वशेहि यस्य इन्द्रियाणि वर्तन्ते अभ्यासबलात् तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता. So yatehe for the ascetic, sixth case, yatehe for the ascetic who has a steady, who is thus seated in me all the time by the dint of practice, the sadhana abhyasa balat, by the dint of steady practice. What has happened? The person has brought the sense organs under one's subjugation by the dint of hard work and strenuous cultivation and practice. A sadhana, the one who has brought, is for that person the knowledge is established or will soon be established. That is also there. So then, of course, the Upanishad and the Bhagavad Gita both like to dwell on the opposite scenario because it's so boring to say, yes, if you cultivate the knowledge like this, you will be like this. And if you cultivate bhakti, you will be like this. This is what bhakti looks like, etc., etc., etc. You can do all that. And then what? But it's of no use. Why? Because you are not it's just a partial view because one can argue with there is a desire to know what happens if I don't do this. And that question is answered in the next two verses. Atha idanim parabhavishyatah means the one who is defeated. Sarva anartha moolam parabhavishyatah. Defeated means devoid of all restraint. And the root cause of sarva anartha moolam, the root cause of all misfortune for the one who is devoid of all restraint is explained in the next couple of verses, which have to be chanted together. ध्यायतो विषयान् पुंसः सङ्गस्तेषूपजायते सङ्गात् सञ्जायते कामः कामात् क्रोधोऽभिजायते क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः सम्मोहात् स्मृतिविभ्रमः स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशः बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति Dhyayatah Vishayan Pumsah. So this is the verses have to be read together primarily because it shows a kind of a derailment. It shows the derailment of what? The train of thought. Okay, not a train somewhere, but your train of thought. The derailment of the train of thought and where the thought was in the beginning, what was the thought? I want moksha was the thought. And for the sake of moksha, what do I have to do? That was the thought. And then for the sake, all the things that I have to do, I have to prioritize. That was the thought. And then if this thought is not buttressed by action, sadhana, now meditation, and then the practice of having a say over the ways of the mind and the sense organs, if that is all not done, if the sadhana is not taken seriously, then what happens? Then how the train gets derailed. Not a very pretty picture when we look at a train derailment. It's very, very messy. And so too, when the train of values and thoughts get derailed, that is also a very, very messy situation. And so let us translate this. Dhyayatah means for the one who is doing dhyanam. Oh, meditative person? No. No. The one who is doing dhyanam on objects. What kind of objects? Sense objects. And that is how the things progress. First, it's a flight of fancy. Oh, I just want to soar in the sky. I want to go skydiving. Who says? The one who has fear of heights. Okay, so then that is the person who says, I want to go skydiving. I want to go bungee cord jumping. I want to go rock climbing. All these things. Some fancy. Or I would just love, to get married. This happens in India a lot to some celebrity, Bollywood celebrity. And so the person is just completely besotted with this person. Starts stalking them, starts making a nuisance of themselves. And it can take to dangerous, proportions. And so like this. So the first everything starts as a small little fancy. Oh, this would be nice to have. And that's why we have to go back to the first verse of this section, where Arjuna's question is answered by Bhagavan. And what is the question he asks? Sthita prajnasya ka bhasha, that section. What does a person of enlightenment look like? And the first definition is Prajahati yada kaman sarvan manogatan. The one who is able to let go of all desires, even as they form in the mind. And for that, one has to be mindful. Because often these small fancies, they are like cats. The cats have very nice pads on their paws. And then so they just sneak in. They make no noise, not like a dog that is just, thump, 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 wagging its tail and then jumping around, and then you know that it is there. Cat means it's very slinky, slinks in. And you just see the empty container of milk, half spilled and half inside the cat. No noise has been made at all. and then it has gone. And so these fancies are like that. They take a foothold without your knowledge. So how to have a say over that? That means you have to slow down the mind. Slow down the mind. Why be in such a hurry? Slow down the mind. And in order to slow down the mind, watch each and every thought. Oh, but I'm not meditating. That's the whole idea, is that you're meditating all the time. We practice half an hour meditation, and if you want to take a mandala, 48-minute meditation, so that the rest of the day I'm meditating with my eyes open. I'm aware of the thoughts that come. Maybe the first thought escaped because, it was just too small, too cute. And then I just gave it a pass. It's so harmless. Kuch nahi karega. It won't do anything. Doesn't matter. And then it brought into, the thought doesn't come by itself. It brings a little family and a little universe in tow. It brings its antecedents, its precedents, and its successors, everything. It brings in like a extended joint family in tow. And so the first thought goes unnoticed, escapes. But then I have, if the mind is slowed down enough, then the other thoughts, the family, I notice. It's just like, these, every country has border patrol. And then, how to keep the other people out who don't belong to this country, how to keep them out. So maybe a child can squeeze in because it looks very cute. But then when it's mother, father, and brother, sister, and all the other people start to this thing in, immediately the gate comes down. No, take your child back. Go back. This is not the way to immigrate. Go fill out forms, stand in queue. That is the way to do it. This is not the way to do it. Go back. And so like this, we don't allow what is not allowed, what is not needed. Given my train of being and given my direction, what is not needed is not allowed in. It's not allowed in illegally. So therefore, the mind has to slow down. Thoughts have to slow down. Otherwise, the thoughts are like a crash. They just come one after the other. Thoughts slow down. The mind slows down. And then you notice the thoughts. And so the thought then comes, oh, wouldn't it be nice to have this? Wouldn't it be nice to marry such and such a person? And then you understand, yes, it would be great to get married to such and such a person, but for one inconvenient truth. What is that? That person is already married to somebody else. So this is not a possibility. And so that thought, just as even as a fancy that comes into the mind, is bid farewell. You bid it farewell. You say, okay, bye bye, not happening, not a possibility. Why? Because you are in dharma. You are in dharma, you are established in dharma. Without being established in dharma, you cannot be established in knowledge. So the desires are only allowed that which is not illegal or unethical, or or these kinds of thoughts are not allowed. So only those desires which are ethical are allowed, and even that you really sit and toy with the idea: is this really necessary now? Can I do without this? Do I have to have this? That is the idea. Okay. So then, so Vishayam Dhyayataha Pumsaha. So Dhyayataha and Pumsaha are in the same case, sixth case. So for the person who is contemplating on what? Vishaya. Vishinoti Badnati, on things that bind the person. So then, when you start a life of contemplating on objects, objects of desire, which includes people, situation, events, etc., that you want to happen, then sangaha teshu vishayeshu upajayate. Teshu, for them, with reference to them, Vishaya Saptami, with reference to them, sangaha upajayate. A kind of a fondness is born. So you see, the trajectory of derailment is beautifully put. First, there is a fancy, and then there is a flight of fancy. So you put fuel in the plane of fancy, and then it takes off. And when it takes off, what is that? It has taken you with it. That is the idea. That is the problem here. So it takes off means what? There is a flight of fancy. And the flight of fancy means that there is some way in which the fancy has affected you. The more you have dwelt on an object, the more dear it becomes to you. That's how what we call fondness or attachment, another word, develops. The desire is not the problem. Desire is not the problem. Fondness is also not the problem. That I can't do without this. That is the problem. And that happens the more you dwell on something. Like a pet dog, puppy. You have a puppy, and then you are at work. The puppy is at home. And then what? You're thinking, oh, so cute. How it chewed my slippers. How cute that was. And then how nice it was. It did this. You think of all its antics. Oh, how cute it is when it chases its tail. And then how cute it is. It tried to jump into my lap. How cute it is. But it is doing this. It is doing that. It rolls over. And then it gives me a paw when I ask it to shake hands. How cute. The more you think about it, the more you feel like you cannot do without it. That is the idea. And then, so sangaha teshu upajayate. Teshu goes with vishayeshu. Okay. And then, so then that is the second stage. First stage is that of a contemplation on objects, events, people that for which one has a fancy. Then stage number 2 is called sangaha. Sangaha means a certain kind of fondness for those things. Upajayate is born. Okay, so what's wrong? Nothing wrong. Well, just wait for the punchline. Sangat sanjayate kamaha. If the affection or the attachment is allowed to prosper, you water the plant of sangha, this fondness. And then what? Then the weeds of karma sprout forth. Then now it has become a full-fledged desire in the mind. First, it was a little fancy, then it was a kind of a delightful fancy called Sangha, which I wanted to keep on dwelling on. And then now it has taken a foothold in the mind in the form of karma. Why? Because because it has taken a foothold means that now it is not going away so quickly. That's why Kama is a deva, is a celestial in the Hindu tradition, a celestial, Kama deva, who is married to Rati, attachment. So this Kama deva, it's just like the Saint Cupid or something in the Christian tradition. Same idea, has an arrow of flowers and then goes on shooting the arrow of flowers, and then as soon as one is shot, then one falls in love. That is the idea. And so Kamadeva is only worshipped by people who want to continue samsara. Nowhere else in India is it worshipped. In fact, I have only seen one particular statue of Kamadeva in near Madurai, in Vendigal. There is one very nice temple full of statues, and then there I have seen Kamadeva and Rati, beautiful statues. If you're going, please see that. It's just very, very nice. And so there alone you see that. And nowhere else, because karma is not worshipped. In fact, you have to come out of karma. You don't worship karma. But it is there. So it is a celestial. It is God given. So it is a celestial. It's a manifestation of Ishvara. And the story goes that this Kama Deva, what did he do? He tried to shoot arrows into Ishvara, the flowery arrows. And that was one of the few times Lord Shiva was in meditation. No, Lord Shiva is always in meditation, but that was one of the few times when he tried to shoot the arrow just fell, the flower fell down. It did not affect Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva, that was one of the few times he opened the third eye, which out of which a flame came and swallowed up, burnt this Kamadeva alive. This is all metaphorical. Rati, affection, comes and says, how can you widow me? How can you do this to me? She fights with Lord Shiva. She says, bring him back to life. Okay, Lord Shiva says there is a place for desire in life, and in samsara there is a place for affection. Okay, go live happily. Don't bother me or anybody who wants to be like me. That is what Lord Shiva takes back the curse and gives him his life. So this is very interesting. So the karma has to be under the gaze, is always under the gaze of Shiva. Shiva means the one who is auspicious, the one who is the Bhagavan. So there is a certain vigilance required for looking at these desires, for maintaining, the one's poise, one's composure, and one's values, so that one doesn't get derailed by karma. So the arrows of Kamadeva, do not affect a person in meditation like Shiva. The one whose mind is turned towards moksha, towards Ishvara, which is one and the same thing, towards discovering the Ishvara within, is impervious to the arrows of karma. The rest of the people, however, are not so lucky. Sangat sanjayate kamaha. And that karma creates pressure to be fulfilled. And when that pressure one is not able to withstand, when one's desire is thwarted, krodha or anger ensues. Kamat krodha abhijayate. Every unfulfilled and unfulfillable desire has within it the seeds of anger which erupt and threaten to make the forest of the mind into weeds. The garden of the mind is now made into weeds. And that is the idea. What happens next? We'll find out next week. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. One announcement, instead of aparokshanubhuti, I will be talking about same time, little earlier it will start, or no, little later it will start, but I'll be talking about Dakshinamurti Stotram as a lens for Advaita Vedanta. This is at the Global Festival of Oneness organized by Indica Academy, and so you can please tune in there, and the website to register, that is also on Zoom, but not the same Zoom classroom, and it is at a different place. The link to register, where you can get your own Zoom link, is at the website arshavg.org. Okay, yeah. So please go there, and then you can get the link, and so that will happen tomorrow, half an hour later. So that is so half an hour, whatever time, wherever you are, this class meets. Log in half an hour later. Oh yeah, Meenal, bless her heart, has posted the link. It's right there. You just click on it and register right away. So that is one thing you have finished doing. All right.